All right, so we obviously already know that the Steelers traded for Mike Williams, but there was another move that they made before the 4 o'clock deadline hit today. But before we get to that, how about Aaron Rodgers was on Pat McAfee's show today live when he heard about Mike Williams getting traded from the Jets to the Steelers, and this was his reaction.
Yeah, Mike's a quiet guy. Just kind of goes about his business. Mike had a rough injury last year, that ACL. It's tough to come back from, and he worked his ass off all off season. Wasn't around for a lot of training camp. He's working on the side, but I felt like he was getting better throughout the early part of the season when he was. It felt like his speed was getting better and he was feeling more comfortable with it. That's a tough injury. I had that injury, and it's the mental part that takes the longest. But Mike's a good guy. He'll be good in that locker room. Obviously, got a lot of great veteran leadership. He's had a nice career, and sometimes change of scenery is great for certain guys. I mean, she was great for me. It was fun, kind of get re-enthused and stuff. And we kind of knew with Devontae coming in that there'd be less targets for everybody because G's leading league in targets. He's gonna get his targets, and Tay's dynamic player. He's going to his target. So if this gives Mike more opportunities, that's awesome. And we wish Mike well.
Yeah, I'll say it again. I think this is flat out right a good move. The Steelers adding a receiver like Mike Williams for a 5th-round pick. In a vacuum, it works. And as Rodgers is alluding to here, it might be a better fit for Mike here in Pittsburgh than what it was with the Jets. At least, if you just look at how it started off, Williams was getting back from an injury. He wasn't able to participate fully in practice and in training camp as he or Rodgers or anyone in that Jets offense would have liked. So he was already behind the 8 ball there. And then you go through the regular season. Williams, there's some inconsistency popping up there, dropping balls, doesn't run the right route on the vertical. And Rodgers and the Jets offense willing to move on quickly. And I think that's just how it goes sometimes when you have a veteran quarterback like Rodgers who has his system. He knows what he wants. He's been doing it for a long time. He's got his coordinator handpicked in Nathaniel Hackett. He's brought over a bunch of guys from Green Bay that know exactly what he likes. So if you're a guy like Mike Williams, it doesn't necessarily matter what you've done in the past or what your name is and how much the Jets signed you for in the offseason. If Rodgers don't have faith in you or that chemistry with you, then they're going to move on. And we obviously saw that the night or the day after that night game that Williams ran the wrong route on the vertical. Rodgers called him out. They trade for Devonta Adams. I think it was the next day or within 24 hours, something crazy like that. And then Williams became the odd man out. So can Mike Williams still play? Yeah, I think he can still play. Has he fully lived up to his potential of being a top 10 pick? No, but when he was with the Chargers, he was a multi-time 1,000-yard receiver, was a good deep threat, was a legitimate deep threat. And going back to this offseason, if the Steelers would have signed him, I would have been excited. I would have. But I think his Jets tenure just wasn't right. It just wasn't a good fit. He didn't play well. Didn't get the reps, the work that he needed to going back to the offseason and training camp. And then this is how it played out. This is the result. He ends up getting traded in the middle of the season. Jets bring in a Devonta Adams. The wide receiver room is busy there. Even though Allen Lazard gets put on IR, Mike Williams was expendable. And maybe it is going to be a better fit here. Maybe it will with Russell Wilson, who has a more improvisational style than an Aaron Rodgers, who's able to or willing to throw the deep ball more than an Aaron Rodgers. Put the ball up to let his receiver make a play. He's willing to do that type of stuff more than Aaron Rodgers. Whereas Rodgers, it's kind of like a West Coast style, a timing style. Get the ball out quick at times. Whereas Russ, we see how we're running it here. We saw what he was doing in Seattle. Some play action. We send some guys deep on crossers, send some guys deep on verticals, and Russ is going to throw it up. Got a solid run game going. And Mike Williams, he's a deep threat. He's a big body receiver. He could do that. He's talented. Now, does he still have a lot of gas left in the tank? I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he does, to the extent that we're going to get a version of him that we saw whenever he was out in LA. But I could see it being a better fit here. No doubt about it. The good part about it is, too, that we don't need him right away. We don't need him to be the savior right away, almost like the Jets did whenever they traded for Devontae Adams. It could almost be like the Chiefs trading for DeAndre Hopkins. We could get Mike Williams along slowly if Russ continues to play like Russ is playing, and Russ shows that he's still in his prime. Because Calvin Austin, Van Jefferson, they obviously know what they're doing. They obviously have a little bit of rapport with a Russ, and then Pickens as our one. We're hopefully getting Cordell Patterson back this week. So Williams don't have to be that guy right away. We can get him some snaps against Washington and have him move along slowly. But if he can build some type of chemistry with Russ, I think there is a really nice upside. There's a nice ceiling to having Mike Williams on this team. Mike Williams and Pickens on the outside. If we can get Mike Williams to be just the version of Mike Williams that he was with the Chargers alongside Pickens, man, this offense can be dangerous. The only downside is we didn't get D-Hop with our 5th-round pick. That's it. That's really it. We gave up a 5th-round pick for Mike Williams. Going back to what I said at the beginning, I think in a vacuum, objectively, that's a good trade. It is a good trade, given our need for receiver right now, the need for the added depth at the receiver position at least. The only downside is it's not D-Hop that we got for the 5th-round pick. It's Mike Williams instead. But you know what they say. Comparison is the thief of joy. So maybe we need to overlook and just get past that D-Hop went for a 5th and focus on the guys that are here. Focus on Mike Williams being here. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. That was 2 weeks ago. Can't dwell on the past. I think that's the learning lesson that we got to take away. We just got to keep moving forward. Because Mike Williams for 5th, good trade. It's just unfortunate we also got to see D-Hop go for a 5th. And I think D-Hop is still the better player than Mike Williams has obviously been the better player over Mike Williams. But hey, man. Hey, what can you do? Comparison's the thief of joy. So let's stop comparing trades. Let's not compare trades. Chiefs may have got the better 5th-round pick trade. Maybe we could just admit that. That's all. But we still got a good one. We got a good one, right? Okay. I think that's it for the Mike Williams talk. Although I guess one last thing, and it actually goes hand in hand with the whole comparisons, the thief of joy type of conversation, because apparently the Steelers were looking at Darius Slayton too, heavy, before this trade deadline hit. So I wonder what the offer was on the table for Slayton, how much more the Steelers really valued Mike Williams over Slayton, or was just that we were able to give up the lesser of the pick to get Williams. Is that why we did it? Who knows? Yeah, it feels like right now, and going back to what my big board was, I did have Darius Slayton ranked higher than Mike Williams. But, I mean, I think it just comes down to personal preference. Like right now, Darius Slayton is having the better season. It looks like he still has it more than Mike Williams. But what's crazy is if you were to ask me who I'd prefer back in the summer, or even over the last probably 2, 3, 4 years, between a Darius Slayton or Mike Williams, I'd say Mike Williams all day, every day. But 8 weeks into the 2024 season, maybe it's flipped a little bit. But if Mike Williams can get things together and it can be a better fit for him here, then he does have way more upside than Darius Slayton. It's just, does he still got it? Is he going to be able to overcome this injury fully? Is he still on the right side of 30? He just turned 30, but can he still get a couple, semi-prime years out in his early 30s? Although we only need him for this year. He just turned 30. We only need him for this year, technically. But who knows? Yeah, if it works out, obviously we're going to be talking about potentially re-signing him. But yeah, I don't know if you guys would have preferred Slayton over Williams. I think right now, yeah. Darius Slayton's probably more ready to go than a Mike. But, hey, maybe it could work out. And maybe it's just that Mike Williams is a Steeler now that I'm definitely thinking a lot more positively about him than I was just literally yesterday. That could be the case too. But the other deal that happened, shortly after we traded for Mike Williams, we got Packers edge rusher Preston Smith for a 7th-round pick. This is a great deal, man. Preston Smith been in the league for a minute. One of those dudes that can consistently get you year in and year out around 8 or 9 sacks. Although this year he's not off to the best of starts. He's only got 2.5 sacks. But typically he'll get you around 8 or 9. The one season he got up to 12. I think that was his first year with the Packers because he also played with Washington to start off his career for about 4 or 5 seasons. But just a solid dude. He's basically, in my opinion, Marcus Golden. Like how we signed Marcus Golden last year to be a depth edge rush guy, to be either that third guy or fourth guy alongside Nick Herbig. This is basically what Preston Smith is. For the immediate future, he's going to be our third guy as Nick Herbig is still trying to rehab and get healthy from that hamstring injury. And that's something we need pretty bad because after TJ Watt and Highsmith, we got Jeremiah Moon and I don't know who else. I have no clue. So that's why you bring in a Preston Smith. Right there, he's your third edge rush guy as long as Nick Herbig is chilling on the sidelines. But once Nick Herbig gets back, depending on how Preston Smith plays in the meantime, maybe he stays that third guy, but you got a 4-headed monster then. You have TJ, Highsmith, Herbig, and Preston Smith. Like 4 quality guys that can get you a sack. Almost like we had with Marcus Golden last year. They not only can get you a sack, but can play the position at a pretty decent professional level. Like you don't got to worry about Preston Smith missing any run assignments or anything like that. So I like the pickup. I think Omar Khan did a good job. I think he did a good job. I think we needed to get a receiver when this trade deadline hit, just at least for depth. At least. I said that how many times? Probably said it too many times over the last couple of days. We at least needed that. We got Mike Williams. We got a guy that's competent. We got a guy that has upside, that can be dynamic in this offense. But, again, at least is giving us that depth day one. And then Preston Smith, I think that was the additional position. If it wasn't going to be a receiver, if we were going to trade for another position outside of receiver, it was going to be edge rush. Because if you look at the defense as a whole, you look at the offense as a whole, there's really not another position that I feel like we needed to upgrade or we needed to address. Cornerback, we're good. We just got Cam Sutton back. Corey Trice is coming off of IR. We know JPJ, Dante Jackson, they've been playing good this year. Beanie Bishop, he's been a pleasant surprise. Safeties, DeMonte Casey, Deshaun Elliott, Minka Fitzpatrick. We don't got to worry about that. We got good depth at inside linebacker. We got good depth on the defensive line. O-line, what can you do? I mean, I don't think we were going to be trading for a right tackle or anything to replace Broderick. I think we're just going to have to see how he plays out the rest of the season. But Mason McCormick's been good. We're getting Zach Frazier back. Isaac Seumalo at left guard, and Dan Moore has been solid at left tackle. So I don't think we were really going to make a serious trade for an offensive lineman. We've talked about receiver. We got our Mike Williams. And then at tight end, we weren't going to trade for anyone with Muth, Darnell Washington, Connor Hayward, and Pruitt. And then we're getting healthy at running back. Najee Harris has been solid for us. He's been steady. Jaylen Warren's back healthy, and we should be getting Cordell Patterson back this week. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, they've been playing good. So there's really not another position that we needed to address like that in the trade market. We got both. We got receiver, and then we got our third edge rush. We got our depth edge rush guy. So I think Omar Khan did good. Could we have done better? Maybe that's up for debate, but can we just admit it was good? Let's just leave it at that. As I said, comparisons is the thief of joy. I'm happy with what we got. I'm happy with this squad we got rolling into the second half of the season, and we should be able to compete for playoffs, for a Super Bowl. No doubt about it. But that's it for this additional video for the day, talking about the Steelers and the moves that they made. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay chilling. Peace.